I'm your host, Dr. Michael Lynch, and welcome to one of my videos. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about a few things which have all come together. It's made a full circle. So ever since I began in paranormal research, investigating ghosts and going out on location and taking still photos of ghosts and videotapes of ghosts, everything kind of made sense to a certain extent. But we couldn't piece the rest of the paranormal puzzle together until now. Back in the 70s, and you might say the late 60s, there was this thing called pyramid power. And earlier than that, there was something called mediums or psychics that needed a crystal ball. And then before that, there was something called the magic wand. And then before that, there was something called healing hands. Now, to use healing hands, you need to use your chi, or to focus. Qui-Gon energy, or Qui-Gon technique, is focusing energy, ambient energy, passive energy, and applying it to a patient to help them heal. It was called healing hands back in the 90s and the early 2000s because nurses in hospitals were actually using it to reduce patients' stress so they could heal faster. So after a major surgery or trauma, the nurses would come in and, you might say, wave their hands around them. In the New Testament, Jesus talks about laying on of hands, praying over them, focusing energy, positive energy to help. Now, as we look at all of those responses, it comes to one conclusion. How do they all connect? Where is that energy? Is it within us? Is it around us? Is it passive? Is it progressive? So these are the questions that I've tried to answer throughout my investigational time. Of course, it's taken me a long time, over 30 years. So the point being is that now we have, for the first time, put it all together. We now know why these things happen and how they happen and what kind of energy makes it happen. There's an energy force that's all around us. It's called Tachyon Energy. It only goes forward in time, it also goes backward in time. It radiates through us like a subparticle and goes beyond. There are other subparticles like neutrinos that come from our sun that pass right through us. We don't even know they exist. Gamma radiation, X-rays, all these things are passing through us as we exist and walking around on the planet. But the major one that is positive, that is the frequency and energy of love unconditionally, is tachyons. So, throughout time, from the time point of Atlantis, when they were using crystals, and every time you investigate Atlantis, you get that crystal thing coming up. The high priest Thoth went to Egypt, or the Great Pyramid of Egypt, and put his ship underneath the paws of the Sphinx. And he writes on his emerald tablets several things that man will need. But he also claims you can't really be spiritual. You can't be a spiritual entity without a near-death or out-of-body experience. How Thoth achieved that with Atlantis was through crystals. A unique crystal, not all crystals, but unique crystals, set to the proper frequency, can amplify and direct energy, tachyon energy. This tachyon energy can heal a person, can reduce their stress, can put their minds at ease. Tachyon energies is the equation to love, and it emanates all through us. It emanates from beyond our universe. And yet, it penetrates and envelops everything inside of our universe. It's the medium in which telepathic communication can exist. It's the medium of power of prayer that can exist. thoughts run through tachyons, because it's like the telegraph. The telegraph line needs to be a medium so the signals can reach each other. So when you do your Morse code, it can get to the next substation and relay. It's the same thing with cable and Wi-Fi and everything else. It is the standard that consciousness needs as a medium to fulfill whatever the program is. So if the program is power of prayer, I'm going to pray for someone so that they get healthy, whether they know it or not, it will work. So when we pray, when we think, when we project, when we receive thoughts and information, it's through a tachyon process. And I can be on the earth, and someone else can be in the Pleiades star system, and we can communicate instantaneously in real time. That is because the medium in which we're communicating on is not only telepathic, it is tachyon. It's the path of tachyons, passive, existing energy that is well within our time period. There are major studies working now. Can I send a message into the past, to my past self? Is there ability to send a message into my future self? This medium in which these studies are being done is being done through tachyons. Now, of course, there's other substrate strata of energy. But if you look at primarily of energy, tachyons fills all the bills. So, the magic wand. I take a wand that has a crystal on it that's been focused for tachyons, and then I apply it. Now, in certain alien abductions, people claim that the Greys, during a physical examination, pull out this wand and they point it at their trouble spots, like maybe their heart or their head or their spine, and they use this wand to correct that. That is tachyon energy. The crystal ball that a medium or psychic or a gypsy will use is to focus tachyons so they can see the stream of time. And then all they have to do is know your name. Connect your name to that signal and follow it into the stream of time. So they can go into the future, they can go into the past. Some people have to go into a hypnagogic hypnosis, self-hypnosis state in order to do it, but the tachyons are still there. The crystal ball helps amplify and direct that energy for them to use. Now, you may think that all this is fanciful, but Reverend Frank Stranges, when he was on board the Victor 1 spacecraft, said that when I'm on board the spacecraft, I don't need my glasses. Frank Stranges always had to wear glasses. And then later on, of course, you got the contacts, but before contacts actually came out to the mass public, he wore glasses. When he was on the Victor 1, he did not require wearing glasses. He didn't understand that. When he got off the Victor 1 spacecraft, he reverted back to where he needed to put his glasses back on. Could not understand why. Many contactees, the Pleiadians, walk off the ship or whatever, and the contactee says they're glowing. And they want to talk about peace and love. Well, that's because they're jacked up on tachyons. Inside every UFO, every vessel, there are tachyons being pumped directly in from the outside because the ship creates a tachyon environment for their health and their welfare. We send astronauts to the International Space Station and they are not protected from anything except maybe gamma radiation or X-rays or whatever. But their health deteriorates. over a long period of time. We actually grow because our spines elongate because lack of gravity. Cells change. Circulation changes. Our hearts don't beat as hard. All these cause problems into the future. That's why cryogenics, to travel from here to Jupiter or from here to Pluto, is such a mandatory requirement. 2001 Space Odyssey was, we put you in cryogenics so you don't eat up oxygen, you don't burn up energy. But at the same time, weightlessness has a major effect on you. This can be corrected, not with centrifuges or whatever, it's corrected through tachyons. Now, one day we'll probably have artificial gravity, that's not a problem. I mean, just a few more years, that'll be okay. But the cellular health, the internal health, can be maintained through tachyons. So in pyramid power, when everyone was talking about pyramid power, they said that they could put seeds inside of a pyramid, or they could put water inside of a pyramid, and the seeds would not decompose. The water became more purified. Because something to do with cosmic rays going through the pyramid. The Russians have done extensive studies on pyramid power for longevity, for relaxation, for meditation, for the slowing down of the effects of aging. So we have pyramid power, we have crystals, all directed and amplifying the cellular engagement, the division, the health and welfare from the cell, from the DNA out. Now, Tachyon Studies, Tachyon Energy Studies, went quiet from 2000 to about 2005. And then a gentleman down in Florida came out with Tachyon wafers, and you can go to Amazon.com, type in Tachyon discs, or ultra discs, ultra Tachyon discs, and they'll come up. You can see on YouTube, on one of his videos, that they actually slow the decomposition of grapes by weeks. So if we are to believe this, tachyons are here to help our cellular division, the correction of our DNA, the alignment of chakras, and your energy. It's already here. It was the startup of the cellular life process. It is the spark that maintains the entire system. Now, of course, everyone will say it's chemical reaction. You know, we eat food, it gives us energy, it helps our cells divide. It's a chemical process. Love is a chemical process. It has nothing to do with energy. Well, that's only if you believe in material. But if you believe in energy, energy supersedes the material world hands down, 1,000 to 1. And without tachyons, nothing could survive. It would never regenerate. It would never be given the energy to start in the first place. Tachyons are the key. It's the destination at the end of the road. Focusing tachyons creates a better you. There was a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. He didn't cut on your face. He had a wand or a crystal, kind of pointed like a diamond, and the patients would come in and he would rub this in your laugh lines or on your forehead or wherever you thought you needed work done. You know, your neck or whatever, sagging skin. And after a week or two, the patients noticed a change. And all he was doing was using crystals. Now, in other plastic surgery techniques, they use other things like blue light or red light, you know, infrared or ultraviolet, to help the cellular regeneration subdermally. There's other things like HGH, human growth hormone, which will help chemically But that plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills was doing it with a crystal, a passive alteration of the aging process. So, where does this take us? Crystal balls, magic wands, the medium for thought transfer. It takes us to Sedona, Arizona, where there are Tachyon Chambers, where you can go for 30 minutes or an hour, sit in a lazy boy, underneath a pyramid, surrounded by crystal balls, and covered up with tachyon discs. And their bodies realign. They realign to where they're healthier and they feel better. What we're seeing here is a revolution in reviving from trauma, stress, surgery, you name it. And everyone that comes out of the Tachyon chamber feels one way. They have been loved. And they say sometimes we have to get our mind out of the way so the body can heal. But when that happens, they're healed. Many people in a near-death experience come out with the same result. I went to the afterlife and I felt nothing but peace and love. Because that's all the afterlife is. It's radiating tachyons. So when someone comes up to you and they're blonde-haired and blue-eyed, and they're talking about peace and love, and they're putting flowers in your hair, and you're going to San Francisco or wherever, think about it. Maybe they're high on life, which life is high on love and tachyons. And that is the missing key. That's how we put the entire paranormal together. When I come up with the equation E equals I, energy equals information, it fit. That was 90% of the paranormal. Everything could be explained with one equation. 90%. But the 10% we couldn't understand how it all meshed together, because that 10% required an energy source, and we call it tachyons. It emanates from beyond our universe. It emanates through our universe. It gives us love and life. Thank you. Tachyons is my destination. It's the end of the road. And I hope that somewhere down the road, major hospitals, doctors, after a surgery, after a patient's gone through some accident, trauma, that they can put them in a tachyon chamber and help them recover from the inside out through focused tachyons. Tachyons is also part and parcel of our consciousness. It's a symbiosis. It works together. One is the medium, the field effect. One is the focused effect. And that's how consciousness works. Is consciousness in the cloud? Sometimes it is. But the cloud is the environment, the medium in which consciousness can thrive. And once it's thriving, the body can thrive. It's not just an idea. It's just not a theory. It's actually being used. So the next time you're in Sedona, or you can go on Google and type in, Tachyon Chambers, they'll pop up on a map across the United States. There's several, over 20 or 30 in France. They're all over the world because they found out that it works. And any medicine, any technique, meditation, yoga, whatever, if it works, it's doing something good. This is Dr. Lynch's Paranormal World. This is the Lynch Factor. Factor that into your life. Wrap your head around it. And maybe the whole paranormal, the afterlife, this life, is connected through tachyons. Items for your consideration. Thank you. I'm Dr. Lynch, and this has been the Lynch Factor.